In terms of some of the common issues with tracking across platforms, I would just say it's never going to be perfect. The internet is a very complicated place. So I think a lot of people have this intuition back from maybe the early 2010s that you just kind of take a snippet, drop it on your website, and you'd be done, right? And that was nice back when that happened. But the internet is just a much more complicated place. That's really what's kind of driving discrepancies between all of these different platforms and the big increase in complexity of implementing. Just implementing these tools has gotten a lot more complex. Obviously we have smartphones today, so we've got problems with device tracking. We have iOS 14, which officially is called app transparency tracking, wreaking havoc with Facebook's ability to track conversions, although it's gotten a lot better recently. We have server-side tracking people have heard of course, GDPR, some of the California regulation, right? And then just single-page apps is another thing. Some Shopify stores are headless, and that can cause problems with Google Analytics and things like that. So the internet is just a much more complicated place than it used to be, and that is why implementing this tracking is getting so much harder. So if that's happening to you, just know you're not alone, and it's not your fault. It's just this is getting more complicated. In terms of some of these things that are specific to Shopify for discrepancies, what I always say is session numbers are going to be different across platforms. The trends are what we care about. If the trends are pointing in the same direction on sessions, then we often say hey, better is the enemy of good enough here. Are we able to use the data to make decisions and answer our questions? Then that's what we need. You're not going to see one-to-one from Shopify to Google Analytics on sessions. It's never going to happen, right? They have different sessionization models for one thing. But where I always start with is, are the sessions trending? Are they trending the same way? Are they not? They shouldn't be an order of magnitude different, right? You shouldn't see 100 in Google Analytics 4 and 1,000 in Shopify. That's a problem, obviously. And then the other thing I always like to go look at is the purchases. And you brought up source of truth there. So I always like to point out the way we think about it is there is no one source of truth for the reasons I just described. We're going to have discrepancies across platforms, and you're never going to get your history to be correct, for sure. Even if we got perfect tracking implemented tomorrow, it will only be implemented from that day forward. Right. So if we want to ask questions about what was the difference between Black Friday performances? Black Friday's coming up. We want to compare this Black Friday to last Black Friday. Most people didn't have Google Analytics 4 set up last Black Friday. I mean, if they did, lots of them wasn't working maybe as well as it should have been, right? And so in that case, we need to go to Shopify as the source of truth for this question. And Shopify is the source of truth for your orders data. If an order did not happen in Shopify, it didn't happen, right? If it's not in Google Analytics or Facebook or whatever, well, yeah, there's lots of reasons.